Alright, I'm not gonna lie, this right here feels like one of those turning point moments for the Chiefs. I'm Victor, and as a Chiefs fan, you can't read these two headlines and not feel something. On one side, we're being named the best landing spot for a 25-touchdown weapon who could completely change the energy of our run game. On the other, one of the most explosive players this franchise has ever had just hit free agency, and now you've got guys inside our own locker room publicly recruiting him to come back. That's not random, that's momentum. This isn't just about adding talent, it's about identity. It's about whether this offense is about to get its juice back in a big way. And before we break it all down, real quick, if you rock with honest Chiefs talk and you're part of Chiefs Kingdom like I am, help us get to 1,300 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button and be part of this community. Because what's happening right now? It could seriously shape how this team looks in 2026. Let's talk about it. So let's start with that first piece, because this one is about fixing something we all watched struggle last season. We all saw it. The run game just didn't scare anybody. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco have both been solid, tough, reliable, but neither one changes how a defense lines up. And when your run game ranked 25th in the league at just 106.6 yards per game, that's not championship-level balance. That's predictable football. Now, ESPN's Matt Bowen is saying the Chiefs are the best fit for Travis Etienne Jr., and honestly, from a football standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. Etienne brings something we've been missing. Pure juice. Play speed. The kind of back who can turn a routine inside zone into a 40-yard explosion. Last season, he had 26 runs of 10-plus yards, tied for 12th in the league. That's big play ability. That's stress on a defense every time he touches the ball. And in Andy Reid's system, that's where it gets interesting, because Etienne isn't just a runner. Over the last 2 seasons, he's had 52 receptions and at least 250 receiving yards. Screens, swing passes, backfield motion, that's Reid's playground. You give him a dual threat back like that, and suddenly the offense feels unpredictable again. As a fan, I love the idea of adding electricity to this offense, especially with Mahomes coming off a tough year and this team trying to reset the tone. If you can't overpower teams, you outspeed them, you outscheme them, you out-explode them. The big question is money in competition? Jacksonville might want to keep him, but if he actually hits the market, the Chiefs should absolutely be in the mix. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. While we're talking about adding speed and big play energy to the backfield, something just happened at wide receiver that could completely change the conversation about how this offense gets its swagger back. And when you see who's already speaking up about it inside the locker room, that's when this offseason starts to feel very real. Alright? So now let's talk about the part that honestly made my phone blow up. Because this one isn't just speculation from an analyst. This one feels personal. The Miami Dolphins officially released Tyreek Hill. That's it. After 4 seasons, after the big trade, after the highlights and the injuries, it's over. He's hitting free agency at 32 years old, coming off a serious knee injury in 2025, and now he's available. And before anyone even had time to process it, Chris Jones was already recruiting him. Jones jumped on social media with a message as soon as the news broke. That's not random. That's not subtle. That's a leader in your locker room publicly saying, bring him home. And let's not forget, Jones and Hill came into the league together in 2016. They won a Super Bowl together in 2019. They were part of the foundation of this dynasty. There's history there. There's chemistry there. Now let's look at this from a football standpoint. Since Hill left Kansas City, the Chiefs have not truly replaced that WR1 presence. We've had solid contributors. We've had role players. But we haven't had that guy who makes defensive coordinators lose sleep the week before they play us. Last season, we struggled to stretch the field consistently. The offense felt compressed. And when you don't have a deep ball threat that forces safeties back, everything underneath gets tighter. Tyreek changes math. Period. When he was here from 2016 to 2021, he put up 6,630 receiving yards and 56 touchdowns in 91 games. Every single year he was a Pro Bowler in Kansas City. He was one of Patrick Mahomes' favorite targets. That connection wasn't just productive, it was explosive. Now yes, we have to be real. He's 32. He's coming off an ACL tear and a dislocated knee. He only played 4 games last season. That's not nothing. But if he's healthy, and that's the key, even 80% of Tyreek Hill is still one of the fastest, most dangerous receivers in football. And familiarity matters. He wouldn't need a year to adjust. He already knows the system. He already knows Mahomes. He already knows what Andy Reid expects. As a fan, I feel torn in the best way possible. On one side, I'm thinking long-term. Is it smart to invest in a veteran coming off injury? Is this nostalgia talking? On the other side, I'm thinking about what this offense looked like when it was at its peak, when defenses were terrified, when every snap had the potential to flip the game. And here's what makes this even bigger. When you connect this with what we just talked about in the backfield, adding a player like Travis Etienne for explosiveness, you start to see a pattern. This front office knows the offense needs juice, speed, burst, fear factor. Etienne would give that to the run game. Hill would restore it to the passing attack. Together? That's not just retooling, that's trying to shock the AFC back to reality. So what do these two stories tell us? They tell us the Chiefs understand last season wasn't good enough, ranking 25th in rushing, missing the postseason, lacking consistent explosiveness. That's not the standard in Kansas City. The scenario right now feels decisive. This isn't a quiet offseason. This is a crossroads offseason. Either we play it safe, or we swing. And as a fan, I'd rather swing, because when you have Patrick Mahomes in his prime, you don't manage the window. You attack it. Now I'm genuinely curious where you stand on this. Would you bring Tyreek back if the numbers make sense? Would you go all in on adding more speed to this offense? Or do you think it's time to build something completely new? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're riding with me through this crazy offseason, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's push this community to 300 subscribers. We're building something real here, just like this team is trying to do. Chiefs Kingdom. This offseason is about to define the next chapter. So let's step back for a second and really look at what this means. When you connect both stories, the push to add a dynamic weapon in the backfield, and now the possibility of bringing back one of the most explosive receivers this franchise has ever had, it tells you one thing loud and clear. The Chiefs are not okay with how last season ended. They're not interested in slow rebuild energy. They're not interested in, let's see what happens. The signals coming out right now feel aggressive. They feel urgent. They feel like a franchise that understands the window with Patrick Mahomes doesn't stay open forever, even if it feels like it sometimes. If they add more speed to the run game and potentially reunite Mahomes with a proven deep threat, that's not maintenance. That's recalibration. That's trying to flip the narrative fast. As a fan, I feel something I haven't felt in a minute. Tension mixed with excitement. Because this offseason could go one of two ways. Either we get cautious, conservative moves, or we see bold swings that remind the league who runs the AFC when this machine is fully loaded. And honestly, I want bold. I want urgency. I want electricity. I want defenses looking at our roster in August thinking, here we go again. Chiefs Kingdom deserves that energy after what we watched last year. Now I want to hear from you. Seriously, would you bring him back? Would you go all in on adding speed and explosiveness? Or do you think it's time to turn the page completely? Drop your take in the comments. Let's debate it like real fans. And if you're enjoying this kind of honest, passionate Chiefs talk, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and help us reach 1,300 subscribers. We're getting close, and every single one of you makes this community stronger. We're building something here, just like this team is trying to do. Chiefs Kingdom, buckle up. This offseason might change everything.